Alright, guys. Looks like Bob Iger is out the door, and now we have a new CEO in Disney named Josh Tomorrow. Yep, Josh Tomorrow is now the new CEO of Disney. So we're going to talk about that. Yep, we're going to talk about that because Bob Iger is leaving the company again. Yep, looks like Bob the Builder, like Bob the Builder, couldn't, like, instead of like fixing stuff, he instead destroyed the company, you know. So yeah, so much for him fixing something. Yep, he couldn't fix it this time. Honestly, I'm not even sure why the hell they freaking brought him back. Yeah, sorry about that terrible pun, by the way. I don't know why I said it like that. That's all I think about, though, when I think of the name Bob. I think of Bob the Builder, because that's what they say. They say, can we fix it? Or actually, well, yeah, he says it. Yeah, he says it in his equipment, or like, yes, we can. Which, you think, that would mean he'd be able to fix it too, but he could not. We had two Bobs in here, and both were failures. So, yeah, we have a new CEO in here that's not Bob this time. So no more Bobs, but a Josh. So I guess that's something fresh, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on this because I got some things to say. But if you guys haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys are still subscribed and all that. I know some people might be losing interest in some of this stuff, but I'm trying to get back on track. I'm trying to make more reviews and stuff and all that. But this stuff right here is kind of big, so I kind of want to talk about it, But I do want to get back into doing more reviews and stuff. I've actually been uploading, my Let's Play of Once Upon a Katamari. It's finally been uploading. I still have more parts to upload, but I don't know if they'll get uploaded or not. We'll have to see. Because the internet's kind of messing up. Like, it keeps shutting off, going back on. So it's like crashing. It's really annoying, but that's technology for you. But also, yeah, I've been noticing, too, there's some weird crap going on YouTube, because, I watch Clownfish TV, and I noticed that I'm not getting I'm getting notified of all their videos. So, it definitely feels like that the podcasts and stuff are kind of getting pushed aside on YouTube, but that's kind of another problem, too there, but, I'm not gonna really talk about that, I'm just saying they're probably digging themselves a grave by doing that, because, they're chasing away their audience, but, like I said, people are probably also losing interest, because, people don't like me talking about this stuff. They kind of a lot of people want to watch reviews, and that's fine, but I'm just saying that the fact that I'm not getting notified for all these videos just tells you something. But yeah, anywho, we're going to go ahead and talk about this. So yeah, Bob Iger is finally out the door again. And, not only we've had him leave, well, we had Kathleen Kennedy, too, leave. Two pretty hated people in the Disney Company. People fucking hate them. And all that, they hate, them, and all that. Well, at first they were happy that Bob Iger was back. I saw people praising it and all that, because a lot of people were saying, like, shit like Bob Chapek, saying, like, he didn't fire Kathleen Kennedy, and the movies were all sucking and all that, and this and that, and I'm like, they were sucking under Bob Iger, too. A lot of the movies were sucking there, too. And all that. And, yeah, there were a lot of flops and all that, during those movies. But, but a lot of the movies now, too, aren't very good either, we've actually been getting a lot of flops too. I mean, we're getting some good ones, but a lot of flops too, and all that. And Kathleen Kennedy, yeah, Chapek could have fired Kathleen Kennedy, but so could have Bob Iger. And again, that's my problem. People were kissing his ass and all that. And I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. That sounds kind of rude. I should say more so people were confused and all that, or like they I don't know, like people were thinking that he was in the right and all that. I don't know, like I shouldn't be saying it like that. Because there are some people out there that you know believe that you know he was the good guy and all that, and Chapek was the bad guy. But I shouldn't have said it like that. But you know, I'm just saying you know there are people on freaking Instagram, like there's a person on there that was getting pissy at me. Like she basically I think this is a gal was basically saying, I'm just gonna say yes, she was basically threatening me and all that, and saying, I'm gonna sue you and all that. I'm gonna sue you, or not sue you. I mean, I'm gonna I'll block you or this or that, or like have your comments taken down and all that because I'm criticizing poor old Bob Iger and all that. And I'm like, you know, bitch, like, you can clearly see this guy is not a good person. Like, why are you kissing his ass? You know? And that's kind of the thing, you know? Like, yeah, I should probably say that there are people kissing, you know, his ass. I'll just go ahead and say it. Like, it sounds kind of rude, but it's true. There are people that have kind of admitted that they made mistakes, and that's fine. You know, but there are people that are still trying to do it now or pull shit and all that. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. I ain't dealing with that. But yeah, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get how people, like, how do people think, how do people like praise Bob Iger? Like, why were people so, like, you know, like, I mean, yeah, I get Chapek. Well, a lot of things were kind of in bad shape with Chapek. Like, I will say, like, I think if Chapek sticks around, I think Pixar probably would have been gone because they were putting the movies on streaming and all that. And then when Bob Iger came back, they were kind of putting them in theaters. I mean, I guess to be fair, Lightyear did go in theaters and all that, but that was because that was a Toy Story spinoff. So a lot of the original movies were, you know, we're not going in the theaters. They were going at home and all that, and people were mad because, you know, it was costing them money and all that, and yeah, I think Chapek was thinking about, you know, getting rid of, you know, Pixar and all that, and then, you know, same with Hulu. I think, well, that's the thing, though, Hulu is going to be gone anyway, but I think, well, Iger's going to keep the name Hulu, but they're going to shut down the app. So the company is still going to exist, but it's going to exist under Disney+. Chapek was talking about just getting rid of Hulu in general. That's the thing, too. A lot of shit, too, that, like I said, a lot of shit that he said, Iger, that's the thing, though. A lot of shit, you know, Chapek said, Iger is doing the exact same thing or taking credit for, and that's one of the things. He did the same thing. I mean, I don't know if Chapek was going to, you know, shut Hulu down or anything, like completely, but I do know he was talking about merging the platforms together. And then Iger comes back and they're doing the exact same thing. And I don't really get it. I think they wasted their money on buying Hulu. They should have just like let Comcast have it, or they were forced to buy it. Like I said, they could have sold it off to somebody else. You know, I don't know. They could have done something with it. Like, heck, they could probably sold it maybe to Nintendo or something. Nintendo could have had their video game stuff on it. I mean, to be fair, I guess they do work with Universal, but I'm just saying, you know, they could have done something with it, you know. Instead, they spent like $9 billion on it, and they're basically just shutting it down pretty much. Like, it's going to be around. on Disney Plus, but they're basically shutting it down, So it's like, what was the point of them acquiring it, Especially if they already have Disney Plus. It's just stupid, Like I said, they've made a lot of stupid decisions and said don't question Iger, It's just been in the last 2 years, people have been doing this stuff. And again, Iger has been doing this stuff for years. Iger screwed over George Lucas. He did all that. And I mean, yeah, George Lucas sold his company to Disney, but I feel like he should have been still allowed to do his trilogy and all that. Like, I feel like they kind of got very controlling with that, because that's how they are, and all that, and and we saw the results to that and all that, and like I said, it's just been a freaking mess. Like, it's been a mess for over a decade now. And I mean, Iger's done a couple good things. Like, Iger did acquire Pixar and kept their friendship and all that for a while there. Unfortunately, it went downhill around the 2010s and all that. Like, their relationship and all, like, John Lasseter and all got let go and all that. And, he was part of the animation stuff and all that, but he got let go, and it created some problems and stuff and all that. And yeah, it's just been, like I said, it's been a disaster. And yeah, John Lasseter, there was reports of him harassing people and all that, but I don't know, the thing is, though, again, with harassing, like, yeah, people can report that stuff all the time. It doesn't always mean it's true. I'm not saying it can't be true, I'm just saying, and the fact that people are still working with him, male and female, and a lot of these people that were from Disney went to work with him and all that, like, clearly he ain't as bad as people were saying, so it felt like they just wanted an excuse to get rid of him. And all that, because I feel like him and Bob Iger probably would have been butting heads and stuff and all that, because he was taking the company more, Iger was taking the company more into a political direction and all that, and he was buying out shit, trying to own everything, while John Lasseter was kind of more in the animation stuff and all. Like, I feel like that's probably what happened, it's probably like that behind the scenes, because John Lasseter also said a lot to the sequels. Like, there was going to be a lot of sequels and all that were in production. Like, there was going to be a Meet the Robinsons 2 and all that, but it was canceled and all, because John Lasseter didn't feel like he needed sequels and all that. And that's kind of the thing, like, clearly there was some crap going on behind the scenes there and all that, and that's probably why they wanted an excuse to get rid of him. And then that's kind of what we're at right now, like, we'll get a few gems here and there, but for the most part, these movies have been really bad, like, really bad, and all that, and somehow, like I said, Zootopia 2 has, dominated the box office. Same with the other years, like, pretty much every year, in the last, like, at least, I think, like, yeah, about 8 or 9 years, Disney has actually been number one in the movies. And I can maybe understand that, like, 10 years ago, but they've had so many, like, bad movies between the Raya and the Last Dragon, well, even Ralph Breaks the Internet, I forgot about that one, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Raya and the Last Dragon, I mean, they had Encanto, they had that, but then they had Wish and all that, they had Onward, and then we had Moana 2, and all these bad movies and stuff, and all the decisions they make. I'm having a really hard time believing, like, that they actually made the money they did. I think there's something going on behind the scenes, but, I mean, I'm not saying I'm rooting for these companies to fail if they make good movies, because I hear Zootopia 2 was really good. I'm just saying, like, the fact that they've had all these flops, and all these decisions people made, I have a hard time believing that these movies, could have made all this money. Like, I don't know. And I guarantee Toy Story 5 is probably going to somehow be the highest grossing film of the year or something like that. Like, I guarantee they'll try to do something like that. And I see people trying to say, too, that the fans are, they're criticizing the fans and saying, like you guys don't want sequels, but yet you guys go to them anyway and all that. But I'm like, again, it's weird how the sequels are making the money and all that while the original stuff is not. And yeah, you could say, well, people aren't going to see it and all that, but I'm like, they're going to see other stuff and it's making money. Like, for example, The Bad Guys made some pretty good money. And I guess to be fair, that one was more, and that was like a 2022 movie and all that. But still, they've had some movies here and all that. And yeah, there are a lot of sequels too. But I'm just saying, like it definitely that's just an example. But I'm just saying there's some weird stuff going on here and all that. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like a lot of companies do this too. They'll try to move money around or something and make stuff look like it's doing well to please the investors. And it could be like that with Nickelodeon too, with their SpongeBob cow, where they milk it and stuff, it's like SpongeBob, yeah, I can see people liking it, but like it's really funny that it seems to be the main thing that's, dominating Nickelodeon and all. And I mean, yeah, it's still popular to this day, but I'm just saying, it's very weird. But I guess to be fair, there are movies too that Disney has been making, that have not been making, that's like Rogue, not Rogue, I don't know, like some of the Marvel movies, they've not been performing well either and all that. So you could say that maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't know. There's something definitely weird going on there. But speaking of weird stuff, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the whole CEO thing of Disney we have now, because there's something going on. I feel like here too. I know I'm kind of rambling on about stuff. I'm probably talking in bits of circles there, but I'm just saying there's been a lot of shit going on for a long time, and Iger and all that's been getting away with and all that, and it kind of makes me mad, but again, that's what a lot of CEOs do. They get away with this stuff, but we're gonna talk about kind of the new CEO here. So yeah, Josh Tomorrow is the new CEO of Disney and all that. Yeah, he's the new CEO of Disney. However, there's a bit of a problem here with this. So he's the CEO of Disney, but he became the CEO of Disney, but now we're gonna have somebody else in charge. I forgot her name. Hold on, I'm gonna look at her name real quick. I actually forgot her name. Hang on. Okay, it's Dana Walden. That's who it is. So Dana Walden is actually going to be in charge of the animation and stuff. Now you may be thinking to yourself, like, well, what's the big deal and all that? Well, the thing is, though, this is where Bob Iger comes in. Now, if we don't know, Bob Iger, this hasn't been 100% proven, but there are rumors that that Bob Iger sabotaged Chapek and all that, and he wasn't really in control of doing stuff. Now, Chapek was not a great a great person either when it came to the company. He's made a lot of, like I've said, I think if he stayed in charge, I think Pixar would have been gone and all that. So I think he would have been gone. But my thing is, though, there was definitely some crap going on behind the scenes, I feel like, and he wasn't even there that long. He was there for a couple years, and all that, and again, like, it made, like, a lot of crap, like, with Iger. Iger was basically playing Palpatine here. Like, he was playing Palpatine. If you guys have seen the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, Iger's basically fucking Palpatine. So, he's basically playing two sides, is what he's doing. And all that. And he was, like, posting comments and shit on, like, stuff like he wishes he didn't put him in charge and all that. trying to act all innocent and all that, even though a lot of the shit that people, again, blamed Chapek for, Iger did a lot of that shit too. And actually, a lot of it, I think he probably did, and Chapek probably didn't have control much over it. And all that, and actually, when Chapek was in charge, I will say this, I'll give out some credit here, I don't feel like Disney was acquiring as much stuff when Chapek was in charge. Like, I don't think Chapek was, acquiring a bunch of stuff. But when Iger came back, I noticed, like, they bought out Fubo TV. I mean, they don't own all of Fubo TV, but they own a good chunk of it. They bought out the rights to use a sports system and all that, for their streaming service and all that, their, ESPN and all that, and as I mentioned, they bought out Hulu too, which, I mean, I guess that was already in the deals before that, but, but I'm just saying, they kind of slowed down there and all, and then, Iger came back, and what does Iger do? Iger fucking goes on a money sprint more and buys more shit that Disney doesn't need, and then, unfortunately, the employees have to suffer for it, because, Chapek was talking about as well, having to lay off a bunch of people. But when Iger came back, he did the same thing, but I think he laid off more people. So he laid off even more people. And that's kind of the thing. That's the problem. He does this stuff, and all. He's trying to, make it look like he's the good guy in the situation when he, in fact, did a lot of this shit. And that's the thing, though. He's playing both sides here. He's playing both sides. And all that. It's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous how this guy got away with this stuff and all that. But that's the thing, though. Chapek left, he came back, and he was supposed to, fix some of his problems, but he hasn't done shit. He talked about selling off, stuff like they were talking about bringing, taking, or they were talking about selling off some assets, which, they should, FX or, ABC or something, he was talking about doing that, but then he mysteriously backed down on it. I don't know why, it felt like he just said that, because I think that was the first year he came back, that he was talking about doing that. So, again, it's like he's trying to make himself look good with the investors and stuff. But it's like it's buried now. People don't talk about that. But yeah, he was talking about selling all this shit, and all that, and then suddenly it's gone, the news is buried and all that. And we have to remember too that Iger, when he bought out Fox too, it put a big dent in the company. And when 2020 hit, COVID, came around and all that. And again, I don't want to say anything, because I don't know if this is entirely true, but it felt like he was in a really big hurry to leave, like COVID or something, because it was starting to spread across the world. Now, I guess to be fair, he was probably, not a lot of people saw that coming, but he probably was running away because Fox was losing a lot of money. When they bought out Fox, they lost a lot of money and all that. So he wanted to kind of get away from all this chaos and let somebody else deal with it. And then when everything died down, he came back, and now he's leaving again. It's weird. Like I said, it's weird that he's leaving. And people are saying he's leaving in a really big hurry. He's leaving, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be leaving this year. I think it's in September or something, but it sounds like he's already getting ready to leave. So it sounds like he might know the company's getting bad again and doesn't want to put up with it and all that. And at the same time, Kathleen Kennedy is gone too. And I guess to be fair, last time she didn't leave though, but her contract wasn't renewed this time. So she was fired, or supposedly she left the company. We don't know, Because they might have just not fired her at all, because again, they don't seem to be caring about this stuff. Like, but there's only like so many mistakes you can do in a company, and stick around. That's why I'm like, how does Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy here, when like Michael Eisner and Chapek were fucking fired? And I don't understand that. I guess it's like that with a lot of CEOs. A lot of CEOs are like this. They somehow stick around and all that, and then they ruin a company, and then they get away with it. They sell the company off, or leave the company with a shit ton of cash, and the companies, and the employees, end up falling, and all that. It's kind of sad. But that's kind of what's happening here. That's kind of what I'm afraid of with Josh Tomorrow here. Now, I don't know him very well, so I don't know what he'll do, but I'm like, will he be able to have control over the company? Because also, when Bob Iger bought out Fox, we got Diana Walden, we got her in there. So we got her in there and all that, and she got bumped up. She got bumped up when Chapek left, got fired, as I should say. He got fired, and Iger came back, and she got put up, and then apparently there's been a lot of shows that have been not greenlit and stuff, because apparently they're too white or something like that, is what I've heard. And that's just ridiculous. Like, that's ridiculous to have people not greenlit stuff like that. You're making Nickelodeon sound, sane here like that. Nickelodeon, canceled a lot of crap too. And some of their shows, they said they were too, they didn't get greenlit because they were too goofy or too weird, like Adventure Time. But I'm like, you replace Adventure Time with Fanboy and Chum Chum, and that show was very, very weird and bad, but in my opinion, I didn't like the show, in my opinion, and that's kind of how I feel about this, like you're basically not wanting to green light a show because it doesn't have enough, race in it. I'm like, it's just stupid, like, it makes no sense at all, and all that, like, I don't really get that, like, it's just stupid. But then, she's now higher up, so now she has the entirety control over the entertainment industry too. But we still have Josh Tomorrow as the CEO. But that's my problem. I'm like, again, like, is that a good thing? Like, if she has this much power? And I mean, yeah, you could say, well, we could say, John Lasseter was a head of animation and stuff, but I don't know if he was a head of the entire the entertainment industry. So I don't know if this is actually a good thing. And again, this was part of Iger. Iger did a lot of this stuff, and then he suddenly is leaving and stuff. Like God, I really hate Iger so much. I fucking really do hate him. Like, I do not like Iger. I mean, I should be happy he's gone, but I'm like, is he really going to be gone? Or is he going to come back or something again? Like, or is he going to use somebody else to, like, as a puppet? I don't know. It's just freaking, like, I really do not, like, I really don't understand this stuff. I don't. A lot of people say that, that Chapek was the worst CEO. I say Iger is the worst Disney CEO. He's the worst Disney CEO. Like, you could say Chapek but Chapek was only there for a couple years, and Iger's been there for a long damn time. And not only has ruined the company the first time around, but then came back and has done absolutely nothing to fix it. And all that, has done nothing to fix it. And all that, and now we have, a new CEO in here, and I don't know, like I said, I want Disney to get better, I do, I want them to go back to what made things work before, like, bring back animation again, like, hand-drawn animation. They've been saying they're gonna be doing that for a couple years now, actually. Actually, even in the Chapek era, they were talking about bringing back hand-drawn animation and never have. But, you know, I would like for them to bring back some hand-drawn animation for the movie theaters again. But they need to do something, because this company is not going to... I don't think this company is going to last. Like, I don't think it's going to last if it, you know, keeps ending up like this. Like, they need to do something to fix it. Like go back to making, you know, stuff, like films for everybody and lower prices and stuff like that. Like go back to making things work. Like, you know, like, I mean, that's the thing. I just want things to go back to the way they were. Make stuff for everybody, you know, instead of just trying to appeal to, like, the LGBTQ, the, you know, the Republicans, the Democrats. Just make stuff for everybody to enjoy, you know, like, I don't see why that can't be, that's gotta be a problem, you know, but, you know, I don't know, but, yeah, I don't know, but we'll have to see how things go, but right now, this is kind of where we're at, but hopefully maybe this new CEO will have more power, but I don't know if he will by the looks of things, but we can only hope. But I am going to go ahead and let things go from here. I just wanted to make this video for you guys because, you know, again, this is pretty big news, you know. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and head out now. So I'll see you guys later.